afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Right, back with another quick video. Anyway, before we get into that, I hope you guys are all well. Everything is fine here. Thanks for asking. Some of you eagle-eyed followers of us on Instagram will have noticed me talking a little bit about this one over the summer. And this is called Good Morning by Jusbox, a fragrance created by Dominic Ropion for the Italian niche luxury perfume house Jusbox. Now, this has appeared in, I think, at least one sort of top 10 style video, and it's a cracking fragrance. So when I heard that the brand was sending me their new one, I was very excited. And it's arrived, and I've worn it a couple of times, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, this one has been sent to me for the purposes of review, but let me just say this, if it hadn't come to me, you know, for review, I would be buying a bottle for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's inspired by this guy, and it's also inspired by one of the 3 Berlin Trilogy albums, of which we have Low, we have Heroes, and we have Lodger. And the fragrance in question is this, and it's called Visionary Eye. So it comes in a wrap like that on the box. Here is the very, very heavy box, and then you'll see how the perfume sits inside. The presentation is fantastic. The boxes are great quality, but look at these beautiful bottles. Now, it is an expensive perfume. I think it retails at £180, and I think that's a 75ml bottle. But just look at that. It's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, I am wearing it today. I've just had a quick shower, and I've applied this one, and it's heavenly. So I'm going to put a bit more on. The atomizers for these bottles are magnificent. Same with this one. They absolutely just chuck out a really, really fine mist of beautiful perfume. So, okay, David Bowie, obviously a local lad. He comes from Brixton, or lived in Brixton, and you know, Brixton was in a terrible mourning when he sadly passed. There were David Bowie tribute nights in all the pubs and stuff like that, especially my local. And I think, you know, as someone of my age growing up with Bowie, he's always been such an influence on everybody in music. You know, he's everything about him is amazing. I don't know, and what a perfect person or a perfect sort of subject to create a perfume. Music and perfume go hand in hand. There's lots of brands that do it. Jusbox themselves obviously specialise in this, and they do a fantastic job of it. And then to bring out someone like Dominic Ropion to make the fragrance, you know you're onto a surefire hit. And you know, this is the epitome of elegance. You know, like Bowie himself, everything about him was effortless. The stylish, the personality, just the coolness of the man was, you know, the stuff of legend. And I even remember an interview with Will Butler from Arcade Fire. He said that David Bowie was the best smelling human he'd ever met. So Bowie himself had a real interest in perfume. I think his wife, Iman, she even had a perfume range at one point. So perfume and music, especially when it comes to Bowie, are so closely entwined. So, you know, this could be a 20-minute video of me just talking about how wonderful David Bowie is. But you know that. So what we really need to do is talk about the perfume. As I said, you've seen the box, you've seen the bottle. These bottles weigh a ton. And these little record caps, they're fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to go through the notes and we'll talk a little bit about the perfume, who can wear it and why I love it so much. Okay, so if we look at the notes first, on the top you have bergamot, you have wormwood, you have thyme, you have iris, you have lavender, and you have cinnamon, and then you have musks, you have sandalwood, and a tiny, tiny bit of vanilla in the base. So what does that give you? Well, it gives you this completely androgynous, very much like Bowie himself, stylish fragrance. It's so, so beautiful. When it opens, the wormwood gives it a little bit of a funky kind of edge, and I think the bergamot doesn't really come across as a bright citrus. It doesn't come across as sharp or fresh at all. as it arrives, you've kind of picking up from the middle, especially the lavender, more so than the iris. The iris comes in a lot later. There's a little bit of spiciness there, but it's more like the lavender, the thyme, and the wormwood that set the opening. And it's not sweet, it's not bitter, it's just perfectly pitched. So what you have is a fragrance that's instantly interesting, but it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't scream or anything like that. It's just there, and it's absolutely wonderful. As time goes by, things start to change. The lavender, you don't really lose the lavender, but it's not like a potpourri lavender. It's almost like a almost fresh lavender. It doesn't smell masculine or feminine at any stage throughout the perfume, and the lavender, I think, helps that balance. Because if you were to look at the sort of, especially the base notes, the musks, the musks, the iris, the sandalwood, and the vanilla, that would all kind of drift towards quite a feminine leaning perfume. But the lavender keeps it honest. It keeps the perfume straight down the middle. So this, as I say, is completely unisex, but absolutely lovely. On me, it smells amazing. My wife hasn't had a chance to wear it yet, but I can't wait for her to try it because I think it will smell fantastic on her too. But I'm getting a bit carried away here, and I do apologise. As things develop with the fragrance, the iris starts to come into play a bit later on. And for me, Dominique Ropignon has done something quite amazing here. He's played the iris perfectly because it doesn't come across overly lipsticky. It doesn't smell like the inside of a makeup bag. It's not like an old lady's purse or anything. You know, some of the negative comments that you hear about iris, I personally love iris as a note. I think it's beautiful. It's one of my favourite florals. It's up there with jasmine and tuberose. But iris can be a bit too much for certain people. It can be a bit too heavy, a bit too waxy, you know, and I totally get that. But because the iris has been so skillfully used in this fragrance, it dances around with the lavender all the time, and the two balance each other out. I do think iris does lean quite feminine in a lot of perfumes, but with this wonderful lavender note together, it's not. It's the perfect yin and yang. Nothing's overpowering anything. You have perfect balance. The perfume is beautifully poised. As things go on, you will become aware of the musk. And I think the musk, which is clean, by the way, is here mainly just to aerate the perfume, just to give it that little bit of a lift. Otherwise, it may just sit a little too close to your skin for some, but for me, this is perfectly pitched. Can't speak properly. Again, sandalwood and vanilla. Okay, the vanilla at the base doesn't really give a lot to this particular perfume. You do get a slight creaminess from the sandalwood, but it's not an ultra woody sandalwood, if that makes sense. It just gives the perfume this wonderful base from the top notes and the middle notes to work their magic. Everything is perfect. Every single material in this perfume seems to be there for a purpose. I'm sure there's some support notes that we don't know about, but I can't pick anything out. This is one of Dominique Ropignon's perfumes, obviously, so it's blended to perfection. It's an easy wear. There's enough freshness coming through, just this hint of freshness in here, which stops it from being, again, too heavy. And what that enables the perfume to be is, you know, it's this balance that I keep going on about. It means the perfume can be worn all year round. When it first hits your skin, you think, oh, that's going to be a bit heavy, but it's not. It doesn't get any heavier. It kind of lightens, if anything, and then it's just smooth, and it goes on and on and on. It is relatively linear. What happens in the top is kind of like the most adventurous part of the perfume, but what it does is it then settles down at a level, and it stays at that level for pretty much ever. So this is a fragrance that's not necessarily designed for a big night out or for, you know, a special event or anything. This is designed to be a signature scent, and it will be a perfect signature scent for so many people. You know, boys will love it, girls will love it, thrusters will love it, old grizzly old perfume enthusiasts like me will definitely love this fragrance, and I certainly do love this fragrance. You know, this could, if I didn't have a huge collection of perfumes, I would certainly be wearing this one all the time. You know, it's just, they've knocked it out the park. To take the influence of, you know, sort of Eno, Visconti and Bowie himself, those albums, those three wonderful albums, that whole scene from Berlin, that, you know, that whole coolness, the uber cool, uber chic kind of thing, and turn that into a perfume. They've done it. They've absolutely nailed it. It's such a fitting tribute. And they are, you know, the people behind this, the people behind Jusbox have obviously given Dominique Ropignon the perfect brief. He gets it. I mean, Ropignon may be a massive Bowie fan, who knows? But what he's done, he's certainly made a really good perfume with that kind of inspiration. It just works perfectly. I couldn't think of anything better You know, I couldn't think of a better way of doing it. You know, when I think of Berlin, I kind of almost think of like Gualtieri's, like Blamage, or always reminds me of that kind of world. But this is just spot on. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so performance-wise, how long does it last? Well, it lasts all day. I've worn it socially and I've worn it to work. I wore it to work yesterday. And I was fully aware of it when I came home from shift. Because I don't know, it's so difficult to describe. Because the fragrance is so effortless. You put it on and it's a bit loud to start off with, and then it kind of drops off and sits a bit closer to your skin. More than a skin scent for the entire life of the perfume. Well, since when I wore it to work for 7 or 8 hours and then had a shower, obviously, and then changed it up after that. But I was aware of it for all that 7 or 8 hours, no problem at all. It's like a second skin. It's like you putting on an item of clothing and wearing it. It's just permanently there. You know, it's not I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It's not vulgar. It doesn't scream. It doesn't scream, look at me or anything like that. It's just like Bowie. It's effortlessly classy. It's just, it's fantastic. I really am gushing, and I'm very, very sorry about that. I do try and be objective, and it's difficult, especially when someone sent me a perfume. I always like to try and find something wrong with it, just to sort of prove that I'm not, you know, been swayed by anything. I can't find anything wrong with this, and I genuinely and honestly mean that. This is a gorgeous perfume. It's going to be, I think it's just been released, but if you're in Selfridges, I think, or in Harrods or something like that, you will be able to go and try it. I'm not sure if they sell samples online. Obviously, please sample this one. It is an expensive fragrance. It's, as I say, it retails at £180 a bottle, so that's quite a lot of money, and certainly not one that I would advise you blind buying on. You know, I love it. You might not. I think the performance is excellent. You might not. But the only way you're going to know is if you try it yourself. And I really, really, really strongly urge you to try it because it's a cracking fragrance. I mean, just the aesthetics of it alone are fantastic. It's a beautiful looking perfume. It wears wonderfully well, and a real fitting tribute to somewhat of an icon for me anyway, and I'm sure lots of you out there are massive Bowie fans too. So I'm going to now play some music and looking at the time, I might even have a can of beer. So there you go. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please, if you get a chance, do try Visionary Eye from Jusbox. It's a cracking perfume. Oh, and if you haven't, don't forget to give A Good Morning a go as well, because this is equally excellent. But I must say this one's stolen my heart. Anyway, there you go. My take on Visionary Eye by the luxury Italian brand Jusbox. Thank you very much for your time, and we shall see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye!